Nice to have some new members and some new blood and new ideas. Want to welcome the two new members of the commission, Mr. Mike Bobick, who is with us remotely today from somewhere in godforsaken New Mexico or wherever you are, and Mr. Mark Hammer, who's here today. And we just realized that Mr. Hammer and I go back to VA 128. How many years ago? 1982. So yeah, so this is wonderful, and it's great to have everybody back. The first thing is we want to approve today's agenda, I have to do a roll call. We got to make sure we have everybody today. So we have our student representative, Mr. Grant Niehaus, is here. Our new member, Mr. Hammer, is here. Commissioner Prosis is here. Commissioner Scooby is here. Commissioner Bobeck is here remotely, and I am here, so our roll call is complete. Louis is not here today, and Marina is not here today. We want to look at today's agenda. We need a motion to approve the agenda as submitted. Somebody?
We approve it.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the agenda. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Very good.
Aye.
Very good. Now we want to move to the December 8th Marina Advisory Commission meeting minutes. I hope everybody's gotten an opportunity to review the minutes, because there was a lot of really cool information in the minutes. I mean, it was some great note-taking involved there. But I guess the most important part of this is that the bylaws and ordinances have not been approved yet by the city council. So all those suggestions we made in the best practices and the mission statement and the general operating procedures, none of that's been acted upon, right?
No, but the bylaws is specifically just for the advisory commission.
Okay.
I figured we would focus more today on the chair and setting our schedule and getting rolling for 2026 before we brought the rules, mission statement and stuff back into the March meeting, so
Okay.
that you guys would have an entire month to read through that 75-page document that Louis thought was an insane amount of information.
Yeah, there's a lot of information there. Okay, but that's good. There were some things, does anybody see anything in the minutes that they need any further clarification on, or would like, or can we approve it? One thing I did point out is that I mentioned in last time we met that I had not spoken with you about the pump out situation. I guess we've not spoken personally about it, but I did send the harbor master a proposal, a draft proposal, not even a proposal, but a framework by which hopefully we can get to pump out for our tenants. So, and we can probably discuss that for a little bit today. Okay, so Byron, you had a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah, I move to approve minutes as published.
Second? Anyone?
I
Someone?
second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Well, that was easy. Let's move on. The first thing, we have no members of the public here. Did we receive any electronic public comments? Okay, so we can move on past the public comments. And the first action item, or report items, is we get to reappoint Grant Niehaus as a student representative for about the 42nd or 43rd time, right? Is that about it? And Grant's term runs from September through August. And so I'm looking for a motion to approve Grant as our new student representative.
So move.
Looking for a second? It's been moved and seconded that we reappoint Grant as our student representative for this academic year, apparently is the way it works. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mike?
Aye.
Very good. Grant, you're back. Officially. Wonderful. Thank you very much for your continued and enthusiastic support and your insight. We certainly do appreciate it. The next is we need to elect a commission chair for 2026.
I would move that we nominate J.J. Jones to repeat as commission chair.
I second.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that I do another year of this. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good, thank you. Now we need to elect a vice chair, and I would move that we nominate Dr. Byron Scooby to be the vice chair for 2026. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
There we go. Meeting schedule for, we're moving right through this. This is wonderful. Meeting schedule for 2026, and I'm assuming that everybody is okay with the second Monday of the month. Are we good with that? Is the
I am fine with that. I just figured I'd let you know from the all-tenant meeting, one comment was that someone wanted the time moved.
a lot of people, we'd have
So-
Dave Hill if we met. in
Just
the
wanted
evening.
to throw that out there.
I am perfectly willing to, as long as the city staff is amenable to it, I would like to move this meeting back to 6 PM. If, I don't know, how does that work for the harbor master and the city staff?
I don't know about everyone else. For myself, I can make it work. I think the latest commission meeting is 5 typically. Or is there one later, Tim? Do you know?
Are you talking about, planning commission starts at 6.
Okay.
In the past, before we were videotaping all these meetings, we met at 6 in the evening. It did encourage the general public to attend, and the commissioners very rarely had a conflict. I would be in favor of moving this to a 6 to an early evening meeting or a 5 o'clock meeting. Is there any discussion here, Byron? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree, and I think, as you say, we would still have Gabe Hill if we had a later meeting. Those, future commission members may have jobs, and I think.
I agree. Kathy, how do you feel?
I agree. We should be holding it at a time that the most people possible could attend, and that's early evening.
Mark, how do you feel?
I agree with that.
Okay. Elise, can we look into whether we can do this, move the meeting to,
That was going to be my recommendation. I
Yeah.
want to double check that we can push it to, are you wanting 5 or 6?
I would prefer 6.
Okay? Will you concede at 5 if I can't get 6?
Of course,
Okay.
of course.
us treats?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Depends.
I firmly believe that the more people we can get to attend these meetings, the better off we are. So let's push for 6, Elise, and we'll see if we can make that happen.
Okay, are we also going to host a meeting every month this year? Or do we need to take a couple of months in the summer off due to travel and commissioners not being around?
My personal feeling is that with as much as going on at the Marina, we would be remiss if we did not meet this summer. If we can do it remotely and if we can just make sure we have a quorum. I know most of us, a lot of the voters will be cruising, but you know what? We'll see if we can. If we can't get a quorum, we'll cancel the meeting. But I think we need to be available and present.
I agree. And it shouldn't be too hard to meet virtually if
No.
we have to.
I would ask, if at all possible, RSVP and let us know as soon as possible if you're not going to make it, because city staff does put in quite an amount of time to do these meetings, and if you're not going to make it and we didn't know ahead of time and we could have prevented that, that would be
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
We need to take personal responsibility and make sure Kim knows and where we are and where we're going to be.
And we need to get the word out that people need to be here. That people who live at the marina, people who want to live at the marina, and people who look at the marina. People who live in Oak Harbor, we want them all here with us.
I don't disagree
Having
with
said
that.
I'm going to Florida for the most of the summer. But I have internet there.
Okay, so let's, so we've done that, and Elise will take that for action about whether we can move. Before we get into the harbor master updates, I want to know where we are, if you don't mind, with the repairs to FDOT.
Yeah, not a problem. I actually talked to the engineer this morning just to make sure I had the most up-to-date information, because it seems like it changes about every 4 hours during the work week. We have all permits in hand at this time. We have a permit from the Army Corps of Engineer. We have an expedited HPA, which is the hydraulic, I think it's project permit from Fish and Wildlife. The DNR has signed off as long as we give them 5-day heads up before we actually start construction. We actually touched base with them, and by we, I mean Moffett Nickel touched base with them today saying, here's our permits, here's expected start time. We will let you know 5 days prior. They said, sounds great, looking forward to it. So that is checked off as well. Should have American Construction under contract by the end of the week. We have already issued them a purchase order for the through rods, because that was our limiting factor. About 2 weeks ago, they were not able to arrive prior to February 20th. If you've ever tried to get a 32-foot, all-threaded, 3/4 inch galvanized through rod, you'll realize why that was our limiting factor, and we didn't just need one.
You need 5?
I believe they ordered 6 of those. They're cutting some of them down to length. They were ordering more rod than was actually needed in a space, but then could utilize it in some of the smaller, like from one side of a patio to the other.
We needed a permit from the Corps.
We
for
did.
this?
Yes. We were not
Was it
granted
to-
an
was it-
emergency permit
Was it to remove the panels from the bottom? Is that what the permit was about?
because there was in-water work.
Okay.
It didn't matter what was done in water. It was because it was in water. They did not grant the emergency, but were able to turn over what they call a SNAP, which is the Salish Shoreside Near Program. Sorry, it's SSNP, and that is the more expedited of their permits. It allows us to do work through March 3rd, that and the expedited. We realize work is not going to be complete by March 3rd, already have the secondary permits lined up. So you cannot put an extension on an expedited HPA. So we have to file a new HPA with Fish and Wildlife. They know that, it's ready, and it is on March 1st going to be submitted so that there's no downtime with American Construction. So we're not paying for them to just be sitting out on FDOC. And the Corps also realizes that we're going to need an extension from the 3rd to the 20th and is ready to flip their extension within 2 days of getting this HPA. Oh, I know, my brain hurts most of the time when I have to do this.
How long did they expect the repair to take?
15 days from the time they start. So this
That-
expedited to the,
Is it going to be 15 days from the time they remove the panels from the floor?
from when the equipment arrives at the marina and they start work, it's 15 days. And they should be starting, we're assuming, or last we heard was the 19th or 20th of this
Is-
month.
Is there going to be a barge in the bay
Yep,
with a crane?
yep.
Are the panels going to be placed on the barge, or are they going to be placed on FDOT?
They're going to come off of the floor onto the barge onto FDOT.
Okay. Do you have to close FDOT at any point during that period of time?
Not supposed to have to close the north end. We might have to relocate the 2 boats where we know the through rods are broken from one side of the patio to the other. I've already talked to both of those owners. No problem. They both live locally and are happy to move if that means their patio is secure again.
Wow.
Should be no major inconvenience to anyone except for maybe the general public. We've had the north end of FDOT closed to the public technically since the storm damage happened. So we're not expecting that to be a problem. We did apply for FEMA funding don't know where that's at yet. But we applied not only for North F, we applied for South F, South E, and included all the other issues that happened just as a, here's everything that happened in the storm, just so they realized it wasn't 2 or 3 smaller projects, it was all throughout the marina.
Has that left City Hall already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that is with the FEMA representatives for the state of Washington already, because I've been in contact with them over the last couple of weeks. There's also possible funding, and Dave Goldman can correct me if I'm wrong, through the Association of Washington Cities for this North F repair as well. They were talking about submitting damage reports from the flooding and the high winds.
Yeah, it's possible, yeah.
So we've applied for that as well.
So, but it's still the only, if we in fact receive federal funding for that repair, would it not be an insurance claim anymore?
If it's paid for in full, I don't think we would have to make insurance claim at that point, but we are looking at about $500,000.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
WCIA would coordinate with the different parties to make sure that, if it's covered by the federal government, they'd probably get, they'd be able to get their share.
Yeah, good. That'd be great.
And we should not be dropped from our insurance if we do make an insurance claim, just FYI. I know we had been told that, but
That's encouraging.
that was not indicated in any way, shape, or form. And we did have an insurance inspector come out. And I think that's all I've got for North F.
Okay. Yes, please.
Elise, is the work going to be similar to the way it was done last time?
Yes.
Done exactly the way.
As I say, it's going to be exactly the same construction
So I know
company.
that there are people on FDOC who would like to be relocated temporarily because it makes a mess
Okay,
and it flies, their mess flies and then,
okay.
so.
So if
people can
anyone
just see
wants
you
to
if they
be,
want to
yes.
relocate?
Yes,
Okay.
please. That's what I was going to say. If you would like to be relocated during construction, please come see me sooner rather than later so that we can ensure we can get you a different location for the time being. But shouldn't be an issue. We should be able to flip the entire north end to the south end. We do not have a lot of guest moorage right now, and utilize that space for those few weeks of construction to where you're not having to move far.
Elise, I guess I'm a bit worried that we eventually will be canceled by our insurance company. I can't imagine that they are willing to pay all these claims on an almost yearly basis with the amount of deductible that we're paying. And if it's possible, I would like to see a rundown of the total expenditures that we've made on that breakwater, say over the last 10 or so years. I think, to me, it's a kind of a staggering amount of money, and
It is.
It seems to me that we're putting a lot of money into something that we intend to spend a lot more money on, without any real gain, other than keeping breakwater in
Yeah,
town.
I would agree, and I guess the question came up when we first heard about the emergency repair, is that the emergency repair was I guess was necessary. However, and how close are we to doing the entire replacement of the breakwater? And it just gnaws at me in the fact that we're going to replace this design with the exact same design that when we continue to silt in, it will ground itself and break again. That has always been, for years, Elise, long before you were the harbor master, Moffett Nichols would tell us that breakwater was a bad design. They should have never built it there, and they didn't do it. So they were very easy to point that out. Now they want us to say, okay, you have money, we'll just rebuild what you have. That has never made sense to me. And I know, Byron, how many times did we sit here and hear that design was flawed for where we are with as much silt as we get under the breakwater? So right now, I guess if we're minus one foot, that it grounds itself completely, does it not?
The north end is a -1.5.
Minus 1.5, okay. But, which is a fair amount of the time, and it continues to go, as the tide goes out, it continues to leverage those panels, and they're gonna break again. Unless they get rid of all the silt under there, and they won't ground themselves until we're -3, so, or 3.5. So I'm not sure, and it's something we probably should have discussed long ago, but I guess my concern is that it's good money after bad. And that is, I wish the commission would have been looped into this emergency repair sooner, or at all, because we were not. No one on this commission was looped into that emergency repair. And whether it should, I guess it had to be done, or did it, I guess is my real concern.
So right now, it's not doing its function. It is not, the wave attenuation is not functioning correctly. So
Right.
you are getting greater waves inside the marina. I mean, we could leave it, but then we're at a liability that we did not correct this problem. Someone's boat gets damaged, we are paying for it. Where if we're making an effort to repair, we have negated our liability and tried to protect the boat in the same breath.
By not repairing it, Elise, would this cause any revenue concerns, any loss of revenue?
I have a feeling North F would become vacant very shortly because no one wants to be on a dock that has things hanging off of it that are not supposed to be hanging and things missing that are supposed to be there. And we did the math, that's about $10,000 a month if all of those slips were vacant.
Yeah, but I guess my question would be is, do they have to be vacant? Could this wait until we replace or do a permanent repair to the breakwater itself?
So that won't be till the 27-28 fish window at the earliest. And that's if we get permits in hand.
So
And
is that what we're saying, is we're not gonna start dredging or reconfiguring the marina in September of 2026?
that I can't answer yet because we're still waiting on a permit for the dredge and the reconfiguration. But the breakwater was a separate project that was not meant to start till 27-28.
Yeah.
Because the dredge was first. And since everything was up in the air, it took so long to even get to the point where we could pull the trigger on dredging, much less starting to get permits for the breakwater repair and rehabilitation.
I guess, you know, what my concern is that given our past history, before 2028 gets here, we're going to have another couple of similar events. And we're just going to be putting more and more money into it that could be used to do a more permanent repair. You know, it's almost yearly that we have one of these. We've missed 1 or 2 years in the last 5, but last year we skated. But other than that, we've had one and I can remember one year we had two major events.
Yeah, it bears acknowledgement that I, for one, and I know how everybody else feels, is I'm not in favor of doing this emergency repair if the breakwater is safe. I mean, if it is in fact safe. The wave attenuation issue, I don't see that as a big issue. I've not seen any change. And granted, I'm not there 24/7, but I've not seen any change in what happens to the tides when the wind is up and the sea conditions are up at the breakwater. I have not seen any change at FDOC, but maybe I need to spend more time out there. But I guess it's too late now. I mean, because everything's going to happen, right? It's going to happen. I would just hope that we would get an opportunity to provide our advisory capacity when things like that do in fact happen. Right?
Hey, JJ, Mike here. Can I ask a question?
Sure, Mike.
Elise, is the 27-28 breakwater design different than what we have today? First question.
No.
And then the second, no. So and we know the design, or we're counting on the design and the dredging to alleviate the damages that reoccur every year based on our events. Is there a reason the engineering company is not coming up with a different or better design to alleviate this problem? Because it's clear that this current design is not functioning for the long term, because we're going to get eventually silt back in, and then we're going to have the same problem again. So has anybody approached them, Moffett, to come up with a different, better idea here? And is that something we could do immediately so that they can, that we could, if we're going to throw money at it, let's throw money at a better design than, and I'm guessing that would require a permit as well. Okay, so 3 questions. I'm done. Thanks.
Okay, to answer your second question, that's not a Moffett-Nickel issue, that was a city council decision. City council decided that they wanted to go with a major repair and rehabilitation when they decided to fund the marina moving forward. So Moffett-Nickel, I'm sure, would be happy to make a new design. However, that is not the direction we've been given, so that's not the direction we're moving in. I will be honest with you, I lost your third question.
Oh, no, it was
permits.
just-
Yes, permits
Yeah,
will be required
yeah.
for everything,
Yeah, okay.
unfortunately. And it's like 15 permits for that. The emergency was only 6, I think. Your normal in-water work is about 15 permits.
Okay. All right, let's move on from this, because there's a dead horse somewhere screaming right now. Are we still in line for, to be able to start dredging in this fish window in 2026?
I still don't have a great answer for you. We have not received any information from NOAA. Moffett-Nickel has been trying to reach out. No one is answering. NOAA's entire website has changed, and a lot of it has been scrubbed as far as the regulatory side goes. The one connection that a member of Moffett-Nickel had, she took the early retirement option early on.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so that connection is not there, but they are still actively trying. It's just difficult to even find anyone at NOAA to respond. So last we heard, we were 5th in line, but I have not received any additional updates on that.
If the permits are in fact granted, do we have a contractor who will start work in September of 2026?
So we would need the permits granted, if I remember correctly, by around the 1st of April to ensure that we would have a contractor. So we still have a little bit of hope. Got about a month and a half. I got to look at the bright side. I'm sorry. I know I'm going to be that optimist, but otherwise I just start screaming and beating that dead horse.
And so if they're not granted, we're moving into the fish window for 2027. correct?
Unfortunately, I don't think we have any other options. Unless we do it without a permit, at which point then we compromise any permits moving forward. And we get fined for doing it
And so the
and
marina,
have to mitigate.
and the marina tenants will wind up paying a dredge fee for a no dredge for at least 2 years. Correct?
It would be about a year and a half by the time the dredge, if it gets pushed to 2027, they would be paying for a dredge fee starting January of this year that is not bonded to anything.
Yeah, and we'd be able to use whatever revenues we collect from the dredge fee or the B&O tax or whatnot to actually borrow less when the time comes.
Yeah,
So we have a bigger
we
fund
certainly
balance to borrow
understand that.
less money, which
Yeah.
would, save the ratepayers over the next 20 years or whenever length of the bond is, so.
Go ahead, Ken.
I've been looking at my bill the last few months for keeping my boat in the marina. And we have a short summer season here. This isn't San Diego, where you can really boat all year long. Most of us would freeze to death if we had to go out and not have heat tonight. So part of my concern is I'm paying a dredge fee month after month after month after month. And then what if I decide I've had enough of boating anyway and I sell that boat or give it away or whatever I'm going to have to do? And then I've paid a lot of money for dredging that I never got any benefit. And sadly, I need it dredged because I have 6 feet of draft.
I don't have a great answer for you, except for there are people that paid for a dredge that they didn't see that were paying the dredge fee back in 2025. The last dredge prior to that was in 2011. The people that came into the marina in 2025 didn't really see the benefit from that dredge.
Well, I think we can't just go along very capriciously saying, well, you know, we'll have the money 5 years from now in case we decide to dredge then. When the people who are paying for it should be reaping the benefit of it. So I think my concern about this is really around being more sensitive to how much money we have to pay to keep our boat there and how much we want to have it dredged and how much we, you know, can't keep going in this direction.
I'm sorry if I ever seemed insensitive. I understand you're paying a lot of money and no one wants to dredge more than I do. I wanted the permits in hand when we submitted them in June.
I know that.
Okay, I was gonna say,
Yeah, I know that.
never wanted anyone to think that I don't want this dredge. I am beyond frustrated. I just unfortunately have to be the one that looks at the good side of what's happening.
I
So,
just think the citizens of this city
okay.
want to see results for what money they spend for city projects.
100% agree.
Bumping them back is not a good solution.
It is not. But unfortunately, without permits in hand, and I will tell you, the Puget Sound is the most regulated place in the entire West Coast. When I go to conferences and talk about what all we have to permit and mitigate, there are people that laugh because they don't have to do a quarter, not even on the coast do they have to do a quarter of what we're doing. So the regulation for Puget Sound is extreme, and it is something that all of us that are marina operators on Puget Sound want to pull our hair out, want to scream, and would love to see it change.
Okay, let's move on. I have some more comments, but I'll hold them for a little bit. Let's do the harbor master update now, so we can
Okay.
learn about occupancy.
Okay, that wasn't my first conversation, but I mean, I guess I can go to that.
No, please do your
Okay.
updates and
I was going to start by thanking the staff. They are the hardest working staff
You
in
bet.
Puget Sound. I am very thankful to have them all. Figured you might want a recap of the all-tenant meeting, since we did get some surveys from that. Look, today, there's been 103 people view that video, so there has been quite a bit of interest in it. 35 people attended. We had 25 questions/suggestions. The 3-question exit survey included: how do you prefer to get your marina information? How often would you like to see these meetings? And is there anything that you didn't share tonight that you'd like to share with us? So I can tell you 71% of those who turned in surveys say they prefer to get their information via email. I don't know if any of you have noticed, I've tried to send a few extra emails out just to communicate small things around the marina, whether it be the Waterloo's closed because we're working on a water line repair or something's coming. So just trying to utilize that the most, since that was what was recommended. 57% said they would like to see those meetings quarterly. I would love to try to accommodate that. I think it's going to be tough to get a meeting in July and try to get people to attend. So I don't know if we could do like an end of summer going into fall recap that kind of combines those last two. But I am willing to try to accommodate and make it quarterly if that's what everyone would like. As far as do we record it or not, that's something that we can talk about moving forward, what we want to do. I have had some people say that they really appreciated it was recorded. whether they're out of state or they live on the south end of the island. It was really hard to justify driving an hour to sit for an hour to drive an hour home. So just looking at that. You mentioned occupancy. We are very actively looking at different advertising forms and how we get the word out. We are looking at some different print forms, and I will come back in March with a few different options for you guys. I was not quite prepared for that today, but I have reached out and made contact with a few different ones that have been used in the past that we haven't used for a few years. Trying to push more on social media. I know that's not the end all, but it is a great way to reach more people. And I believe we are going to try to do the Anacortes Boat Show again. I will say that we actually sold a slip from someone who we put on the wait list at the Anacortes Boat Show, and selling that slip paid for us going to the Anacortes Boat Show. So that is May 14th through the 16th. It runs from 10 to 6. If you guys can put that on your calendars, because we would love to have volunteers help us out. I realize some of you may be cruising at that point, but just heads up on that one. We did the North F update. I've given you what I know for the dredge and the breakwater. I am also trying to put it out there in the public, not just with boaters, but general public, that the marina is open for people. Here's ways you can help us, getting the word out in different ways. So I actually have 3 different boards or clubs that I'm going to give marina update presentations to this month. Be speaking to the Mariners Cove Board, South Whigby Yacht Club, and the Oak Harbor Rotary Club. So just FYI, I'm trying different ways to connect people. And one other thing that I would like to thank the staff on is we had a water rescue a couple weeks ago. It ended in best case scenario. Staff was able to get the individual out of the water within probably under 2 minutes of him being in the water.
Where did this happen?
Sea dock.
Okay.
So it was on a Ranger tug. Gentleman was on his back deck working, and his direct quote,
See why I bought that thing.
1 minute I was on the back deck, the next minute I wasn't.
That's how it goes.
And so luckily staff was able to lift the hatch, pull the ladder down. He got out of the water on his own. Staff hung out with him, walked him up the dock, put him in the shower, called his spouse, and made sure that he was good to go beforehand. But just another reminder that it is quick. It was lucky that staff was out there. He didn't hit his head or anything. But I would give a major shout out to Danny and Duncan for that one.
How far away was the nearest ladder?
It probably was about 100 yards on the other side of the dock. I will be honest, even if he had had a ladder at the end of his slip, I don't know that he would have made it.
Again,
Like I said, that one was best case scenario because we could get him right. He was on the side of the boat where the ladder was, and it was best case scenario all the way around. But staff reacted quickly and like we're trained, so it was beautiful to see it in action. And I wanted to make sure Danny and Duncan got the shout out.
That is so fortunate that they were there, because it's so, I spend a lot of time working on my boat, as you know, and I spend a lot of time working on my transom, on my swim platform. And if I go in the water there, it's going to be hard pressed to get out there. It really is, even with a ladder at the very end of my dock.
And you have a ladder right next to the bow, at least.
I do. So it's great that the staff was there. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, and the individual called for help. They both said they heard something, and it wasn't a normal sound. And then they heard something that sounded like a croaking seal was the best description they could give. And then they heard help.
Yeah, wow.
So,
It's very lucky because when you go in that water, you lose your breath.
Yep.
And it's very, very difficult to
and he started cramping up right after we got him out of the water.
very hard.
Yep. Beyond that, that's what I've got right now. I feel like I gave a lot of an update for North F and the dredge, but
Yeah, you did. Go ahead, Myron, please.
Regarding the Marina, All Marina meeting, if we are talking about having it quarterly, would we then have one, say, in April? I mean, is that likely to be the schedule? You said, I agree that probably the middle of summer is not a great time, but April, is that
I
still
think we'll shoot for one in April. I think it's a good idea because in theory, North F repairs will be complete. We will know for sure, most likely, if we can dredge in 26 or if it's going to be 27. And then we can also answer any questions that people might come up with between now and then as well.
Okay, I do have a comment about the all-tenant meeting. I enjoyed it. The comments that were made to me in confidence were in fact that they would like to see that meeting somewhere else, not here. One was that they said it was too much like a city council meeting, and there was a certain degree of intimidation there. So I would recommend, and I would suggest that the next time we do that at the yacht club or someplace closer to the marina. We don't necessarily need it recorded. I think we'd have greater participation and people would speak more frankly. I really do. I think that should be something we should consider, doing it that way. Kelly?
I think we should try it.
Yeah.
The whole premise of this was we haven't done this before, so we're just going to figure out what to do. So I think we had good results with 100 people looking at the video.
I think it's great.
But maybe we would have 100 people present if they knew there wouldn't be a video.
Yeah.
It's worth a try.
Yep. Okay. Elise, was that the end of your harbor master updates?
That is the end of mine, but if you don't mind, I'll let David Goldman give a budget update.
Mr. Goldman, how are you, sir?
Since
Good to
he's
have you
here.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, yeah, I'll just give a budget process update for the upcoming biennial budget. As you know, we do biennial budgets here in Oak Harbor, and a lot of cities in Washington State do the same. We're currently in the second year of the 2025-26 biennial. So we're starting the process of building the next biennial budget. The process started last month when the city council had a retreat and they discussed the goals and priorities and visioning that they'd like to see for the city in the next budget. The next step is to provide financial primers to city council, mostly geared at the newer city council members who might not have as much experience with public finance items. But when I did it last time, I went on for an hour and, people started looking down at their phones and having sidecars. It's not an exciting topic to begin with. So what I'm doing instead is I'm doing like 5 to 7 minute videos on like different areas of finance. Like I have some videos up right now on the website. Go to the finance department in our city of Oak Harbor. Go to Let's Talk Finance, and got a video on sales tax. Got a couple videos on property taxes, one on debt, and we're just going to keep adding videos like that. Probably be more engaging, a little bit. Probably people might, watch the whole thing. So but anyway, that's what we're going to be doing over the next 5 or 6 months. We're going to be starting. So the budget's really like you have your operating budget, which is like the continuation of the same level of service you have now, and then you have your capital budget, which is looking at the different capital projects that are looking to do major improvements for your city. And that process is going to start parallel to the operating process. That capital process will start around July, when we'll meet with the department directors to go over what they see for their areas as to what they want to include in the next 2 years, but also over 6 years. So we have a 6-year CIP, capital improvement plan, but the first 2 years of it are in the budget because that's how it gets funded. And this is all going to be based on what City Council has decided during the retreat and other input that has been provided by City Council, but also input that's being provided by all these different commissions and boards and committees that we have. We'll have the staff liaisons there that are representative of each department at these meetings, and we'll put in these different projects into the pot. And the most important thing when it comes to these projects is like, how do you pay for it? Do you have a dedicated funding source to pay for that? oh, we have a B&O tax, so obviously we're gonna, do the stuff the B&O tax is funded for. But other things, non-marine items might, just not have revenues associated with it. There's no way to pay for it. So that'll be something we'll have to figure out, like, do we have any general revenues that are available after we've already paid for all the, base operating level of services that we have to provide? Do we have anything available for this, or is there something that we can go and solicit a grant for, or other types of revenues from the state, and those kind of things. So that we've been pretty active in doing that. So in September, we do a mid-year financial status update. So every year we go to the even when it's not a biennial year, we just go to the council every September or so, and we do two things. We show them the unaudited the previous year-end unaudited results. We submit those to the auditors in by the end of May, and then they schedule an audit, but usually the audit is scheduled in October. So we don't have an audited financials to present, but we give you the unaudited financials, and we show you the status of all the fund balances and the revenues, expenditures. And then we do a mid-year financial status update. We show you what the revenues look like in all different areas of the city mid-year 2026, so we can kind of see what that looks like, so we can build in a trend for the next biennial. That's kind of, we have to project like what we think we're going to get for sales taxes and utility taxes and so on. So we have to look at the revenue trend per month and the last 5 years. We do a formula calculation. We use information that we know already, like stuff we might hear from the state or a new bill that got passed by the legislature. And we all build that into our projection. Next, we have public hearings on the revenue projections as well in September. That meeting is a public hearing I just talked about. And then the mayor, based on all the input that he's received from the department directors, which has gotten all the input from the city council and all these boards and commissions we have, he puts together a preliminary abridged budget, and then departments come in and then they do their presentations. They do individual presentations September and October, at a meeting. So it's, it's for the public. And by November 2nd, state law says that the mayor's final preliminary budget has to be filed with council, and then it's in council's hands. And let's see here. So there's 2 public hearings that the city council has to hold, and those will be in November. The second public hearing is the adoption hearing of the budget that has to be started by December 1st. Now, I've been in some cities where, they start it by that date, like they put, they do a November 23rd hearing, but there's a lot to talk about, and they run out of time, so they continue the hearing, and it pushes into December. But I haven't really seen that here, because we're pretty transparent. We talk to people, we get a lot of information out on the website, and we, talk, have meetings. But if that was to happen, it has to absolutely be done by the end of the year, because the budget takes effect January 1st. So that, they continue it, but it has to, you can't continue it past December 31st. And that's really, that's the plan, yeah.
So, if I heard you correctly, and I wasn't looking at my phone, so if the Marina wants to get a capital project going,
Yeah.
the funding for that, or at least the estimates for that project, have to be submitted to you. For example, if we wanted to put pump outs at every slip, like they have in, and we didn't have a clean water grant for that.
Yeah.
That cost would have to be submitted, or at least to you before November.
Yeah, we need to know some kind of general estimate of the cost. It won't be exact.
So any capital project,
Yeah.
power stations, water, new water lines under the
Anything.
docks, all that stuff
Yeah,
would have to be.
anything. The capital project's defined as anything over, I think we're changing the baseline. It's either 25,000 or 50,000. The smaller stuff is like capital outlay. 50? All right, yeah. I
So
mean,
if
we're
we-
looking at changing
So
it.
if we wanted $750,000 to put
Yeah.
pump outs at every slip, or at least at every dock, you would have to know that.
We'd have to know the general idea of it. Basically, when you do these planning phases for capital projects, and this is what, the engineering people tell me, in my decades of experience with them. They say that in the early stages, we have a general idea based on what other cities have done recently, and we reach out, we talk to people who've done it, we get a general idea. And then that gets kicked around with all the other capital projects, police might have some, Parks and Rec might have some,
Sure.
general government, whatever. And then they come and put their priorities together and they say, okay, these are the top 5 that we want to focus in on. This is maybe the second tier. I don't know, like every council is different.
Sure.
And then if it makes it to, to the higher tiers, then we can put it in the budget in the first 2 years of the 6-year plan. But if we don't have a revenue source, we'll put it in as to be determined or unsecured grant or something like that, so that it's in there, but it's contingent upon getting that revenue stream.
Gotcha.
And let's say the grant comes in, we get a grant for 500,000 or 600,000, we got to come up with a match. Then at that point, when that actually happens, we get more information, then we'll have to bring it back to council and say, hey, this is in the plan for the first 2 years. We didn't get the whole amount, we got this much. We have this match requirement. These are the options you can tap to make the match. But this would be the long-term effect if we don't want to take it from operating because that could deteriorate operating. But if we have money in REIT, or we have money in fund balance somewhere for the specific fund or whatnot, we can kind of look around at the different sources. Council kicks it around and, they make their decisions, so. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Thanks
Yeah.
very much. That's very helpful. So it tells us what we need to
Yeah.
work with the harbor master on. Go ahead, sir.
Actually, as it concerns this committee, I mean, all this, it's, of course, the general city budget is of great importance, but concerning this committee, I'm more concerned about our expenditures and revenues over the year for the Marina Fund. And in years past, we have gotten a rundown of that sometime around this time or a little later in the year. Are we gonna be able to see 2025's revenues and
probably-
expenditures pretty soon?
Yeah, April, because we have some year-end stuff we have to do. So right now, the invoices are still coming late. There's some work that people did in December, for example, and they haven't sent us an invoice to pay it yet. Maybe the vendor's late. This happens. And then we get it, we have to process it, make sure it passes all the procurement rules and all that. So we hold it open for 2 months. When that's done at the end of April, then we do the year-end stuff. There's indirect stuff, there's other costs that we have to allocate, and there's also required stuff what do you call it? The OPEBs, there's pensions, there's other post-employment benefits. It's all the general accounting stuff that we're required to do per the General Accounting Standards Board and also the state auditor. So we just have to finish that up. Because if I was to give you something now, it wouldn't be done. It wouldn't be right. I'll give you something now, and then maybe in a couple months there's something that's 100,000 more, and you're like, what happened? So I'd rather just give you something that's 99% there than something that's only 80% there.
And what's the timeline? When do we find out about our unallocated expenses?
Oh, that'll happen when this closes, then that process starts, and that'll happen. I'm trying to push them up to do it quicker, but in past years, it's been the April, May type time frame, because, there's a lot to do with this year-end stuff, a lot of different moving parts.
Okay. Thank you.
So, all
Thank
right.
you, sir. It's good to have you here. We like hearing from you. Okay. Marine Advisory Commission comments. I hope somebody's got a comment. Do you have a comment? I have a couple, as I always do. Shoreside activities. Has there been any progress in trying to get a food truck or anything to coffee stand or anything down at the marina?
I have met with various city officials, reached out to Island County. A food truck is probably going to be our only option for 2026 summer due to the I guess amenities isn't the right word, but due to the items
infrastructure.
needed
Yeah.
to be able to serve food. I don't think we could accomplish that using current marina facilities before main boating season, if that makes sense.
Sure, but a food truck with an appropriate
Yep.
level of picnic tables or tables and umbrellas in, in the parking lot or in that area of the park would be perfect if we can get someone who wants to be there.
I have reached out to the chamber. I will reach out again and just make sure that they realize that we are just looking for a food truck. There's also a food truck association website that I guess I can access. I just learned about it in the last week or so, so I'll also be looking into that. I am actively trying to get something down there. Even if it's just on the weekends, it's something that we haven't had for a long time.
Agreed, and it's something we absolutely need to have to encourage just more community from our marina tenants, to be able to go up there and be able to get a cup of coffee and sit under a table and chat with your buddies. I mean, that's something we need to have. And some people have been fairly successful up there over the years, and others have not. But we have food trucks now. You drive on the island, there's 2 food trucks just sitting out at a place out by the pass that are just closed. They're just sitting there. And I understand our infrastructure limitations, in the marina parking lot. But, those seem to be, we have an entire city public works department who ought to be able to figure part of that out.
The food truck, I've been given the thumbs up by everybody.
Okay, good.
So that one, that's the path we're going to go for 2026, while in the background trying to see about having something else at the marina. But since we've been given the thumbs up, that's the path we're choosing.
Thank you. And I have a question about our dredge and reconfiguration. Is probably a good time as any to ask.
Go for it.
In the reconfiguration and the removal of the roofs, are
Yes.
we removing the roofs and the supported infrastructure, the 60 and 70-year-old timbers that are in there? Are they
Yes.
being removed?
Yes.
Okay.
One of the goals for the staff this summer is to actually prep Bravo Dock for that removal. So sealing the cement, because we know the cement looks great under covered because it
does.
hasn't seen the sunlight.
Yeah.
Prepping, reutilizing current electrical parts that we have. I know it does not solve all our problems, but they don't look as rough with a coat of paint.
I agree.
And without having to change the whole housing, because then we have to go up to code. So not that I'm avoiding going up to code, but right now that's not in the budget, nor was it a capital improvement plan. But moving forward, it can definitely be a conversation. But we want to try to get that prepped as much as possible, see how much time that takes as well, to where if need be, we can move to Charlie, Delta, and Echo Dock and get everything prepped, ready, so that once those roofs come off, we can extend the life of those floats as much as possible. I do still realize they will be 52 years old, and you can only do so much, but
My concern was the wood. And in light of the fire they had at the Van Isle Marina, I don't know if you've seen any of the photographs from the fire at Van Isle.
not that one, no.
We have an Oak Harbor Yacht Club member whose boat was kept at Van Isle, just on the other side of the finger from the 3 boats that burned to the water line and sunk. And had there been a wood structure anywhere near that dock and finger, all those boats would have been completely engulfed. And so I'm comfortable with the fact that when the roofs are removed, the wood structures go with them.
Yes.
So, that's important.
That was part of the decision-making in removing the covered moorage, is it all needed to be replaced, not just the roof. The structures needed to be replaced. And we would not be able to charge a marina rate that anyone would pay that would make sense to keep covered moorage. On top of, I don't know that we could have permitted that because of the new light penetrating regulations that are in place for docks. So we're grandfathered in with them right now, but to replace them, it's astronomical. I know Des Moines had a similar issue.
Oh, they removed them all.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's, like I said, they had the same problem we had. They couldn't charge a rate that made sense to keep them and to bring them up to code.
Okay.
And Elise, I object to you saying that a 52-year-old can only do so much.
Not humans.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I have nothing else. There's any, Byron, do you have anything?
Just a quick question on the Harbor Master's statistical report. It looks like in December and January, past, we've had a big increase in guest moorage. What accounts for so much guest moorage revenue for those 2 months?
So for December, we had commercial crabbers. They count as an individual guest because they are charged a monthly rate once they leave, but it is more like a guest moorage reservation in the system. And as far as for January of 2026, we went from 4 to 9, so we increased 125% in our guest moorage. It sounds real dramatic. I think it was weather related. We had a pretty decent January and people were just cruising around. But I'll take the 125% increase.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
And just to speak to guest moorage, we had 999 individual reservations in 2025. Staff's goal is to hit 1,000 in 2026. So that is something in the presentation that I'm mentioning of how you can help. Tell your friends to come stay.
One thing that I hope you already know about the July 25th, the yacht club wants to bring as many as 20 boats.
We are working on accommodating them as much as possible.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they've got a lot that are 50-plus feet.
Well, the 3 that are 50-plus feet as far, I saw a list
Okay.
of the potential people that were coming, one 60-foot boat, and there were 2 55-foot boats, I believe.
Then that we can accommodate as of right now, no problem.
Okay,
And tides look good this year for
I
them.
saw that, yeah.
I looked.
I would like to thank you, Elise, for the work that you do. I'm amazed at how you keep all these facts about everything right, ready to just peel off and tell us about them. And I think the marina is looking better than it did, which is a great thing because
Thank you.
nobody wants to go to a nasty-looking place. So hooray! So thank you.
Okay. The last item, agenda item, is determination of future agenda items, and I'm going to put the burden on the commissioners here. There's a lot of things. I mean, I can't be the only person that talks at these things. So, as much as I enjoy it, I can't be the only person who talks at these things. You need to come prepared with your agenda items, and you need to get them to Elise and to Kim, so we can put them on the schedule, so we can get reasonable discussion around them. Because I know we all have our own opinions, and we've all been in the marina fairly a decent amount of time. We know what needs to go out there. We can keep the heady stuff, the budget stuff, the permitting stuff. We can keep that on a pretty high level. But I mean, there are things that we need to bring to the attention of the harbor master and city staff and the mayor about things that are happening at the marina that need to be discussed in this forum. Yes.
The one thing I'll say that would be nice, since we have the fingerlings already there, I've noticed since I've been down there, if the weather's fairly nice, we've been getting a fair amount of, not a lot, but even at this early season, of young kids going down there and helping. So if you know people, they don't know it's there. I had one couple was trying to figure out where it was in the parking lot, and I said, no, you come over here, and you can have this, and do that. And you're getting the maps or the information from Elise, and so it would be very helpful if you would encourage people who have kids to come down and learn and, really figure out the marina, because then they're going to spread the word that there's a park down there and we can do this. Otherwise, these people don't know it exists. I mean, I had somebody said, I didn't know it was here. So I think it would be good if you guys kind of spread the word. You have kids, grandkids. Hey, even if you show up, it's not that long down there, and they have a good time. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I add something real quick to what Barbara just said? We do field trips for that as well. So if you know a group that's interested, it is a quick, easy, shoot us an email and we tailor the field trip. I know that does pull staff away for about an hour, but we've had one preschool group this will be their 4th year returning now. So they are so excited, but just a heads up, that's part of our community engagement, and one of the 3 main things with that program is an outdoor classroom, and we're trying to utilize that more.
Are the fish active yet?
They are actually more active than what I expected to see at 3 weeks. You could see them flashing just below the surface. The Marina did purchase a GoPro late last fall and a telescoping pole. So the goal is tomorrow before feeding, I'm going to drop it down in one of the pens and just let it record as they're feeding. And we're going to try to hopefully do like a weekly coho update where if people can't come out and see the feedings, they can follow online, kind of like the nature webcams that people go nuts over when eagles' eggs are about to hatch, or
Let's put a stuffed eagle.
you're going to put a stuffed eagle down there? In March, I would like to go back to that mission statement and the rules and regulations so that we could get those to council before we get into main boating season.
Okay, very good.
So just FYI, you'll have a larger packet than normal in March because of those.
Okay, our next meeting will be March 9th at a time to be determined, perhaps 6, perhaps 5, maybe 3. So, does anybody have anything else?
I have one thing, JJ.
Yeah.
Mike Bobick here. Elise, you said I think very early in the meeting, you referenced the bylaws being 75 pages. Being the new guy here, where can I get a copy of them? Is it on a website or something I can download?
It is currently on the website. If you go, I believe, to the Marina website and it's under policies and procedures, we ended up combining the best method practice because technically everyone that comes in is supposed to sign that. But when you sign
really?
a contract, it says, I have read the policies, procedures, and agree to abide by. So if we toss the
I must have
best
forgot about
methods
that.
in there, we will be able to negate having to collect that additional signature from everyone.
Got it. All right. Okay. I must have forgot that 3 years ago.
That's okay.
I'll go back
You
and
probably got a
circle
paper
back.
copy that's shoved in a boat somewhere.
Yeah. Second question, just a suggestion, the permit is a time sensitive, request. Perhaps somebody from the city could call Rick Larson's office to have them give Noah a call and see what's going on in the permitting process, because there seems to be a lot of slow things happening, in DC right now, for a multitude of reasons. But, that is time sensitive. So that would be a recommendation.
We will look into that again. We had asked that question about 2 months ago, if putting legislative pressure on NOAA would matter. We were told they figured it would actually be more negative than helpful. But we can ask the question again. I don't mind. I don't want to push someone that doesn't want to be pushed to where we get bumped from 5 to 7.
There's an old adage about you can't push a rope, and that's, it does apply in this situation. It really does. Okay, I think that's all we have. Once again, thanks to Mike and Mark for volunteering to be on this commission. We really appreciate it. It's great to have Grant back again for another school year. And again, write your agenda items down. Get them to me. Get them to Elise. Get them to Kim. We need to start acting on a lot of this stuff. Thank you all so much. Again,
You need to do a motion, JJ.
we don't need a motion to adjourn, do we? We need a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay, thank you very much. All those in
Thank
favor?
you.
Second.
We're adjourned.
Aye.